Monty and Christa Kelso, our great friends. It's so good to see you guys.
Hey, good to see you. We miss you.
Yeah, we miss you too.
Miss you too.
I was gonna say you're bi-coastal, but Nashville's not a coast. So
No, not today anyway. There's some days it feels like it.
Much to the California surfers' chagrin.
yeah,
would
I'm sure.
love there to be
But they followed you there, so there's some of them. So
They're coming.
some.
that's great.
We love it. We love both places. So I don't know. We'll figure it out one of these days.
Great. Can't wait to see you when you're back here. So
Same.
well, again, thanks for taking time. It's been a blast reconnecting with Continental family these last month or so ago when we started doing this and asking that simple question, how does your Continental experience show up in what you do today? And so how do you guys answer that?
Wow.
It's so foundational to our lives. I mean, I'll oftentimes reflect on my life pre-continentals and post-continentals and imagine how would it have played out and had we not been called into the ministry and gotten so involved in it. But I would have been a Southern Indiana boy talking with a little Southern accent, doing real estate, and wouldn't know this woman because we met on tour.
Right.
I really do believe that the Continental experience was by far, the most influential experience of my life, bar none. Beyond, certainly my family had a lot of influence foundationally, but as an adult, Continentals was the formative years, I think, for who I became. Mm-hmm. It really did influence everything.
Wow.
Yeah, for me, we both came from Indiana, but he came from a real small town, more rural experience. But I came from Indianapolis and had spent 2 years at Taylor University. But I knew way back when I was, even before my freshman year, I got real sick and really serious disease and was sick for a very long time. And I came out of that knowing that I was supposed to wait for the man who was called to ministry and that I was called to full-time Christian service is what we called it back.
Did you go forward?
I went, of course. After I got out of the hospital and regained everything.
Recommit your life.
Yeah. And I fell in love in high school, fell in love in college, but it's like, no, these guys are not called to ministry. So got the opportunity to go to Continentals and, for me, it opened my eyes from Bible Belt Baptist life to a world of incredible perspective on spirituality and what the church is and what we're called to do as individuals. And that ministry calling was so solidified, especially as we met and shared our dreams in that way. It really just the whole trajectory of our life just went right down the middle of what is God's will for us as singers, as ministers of the gospel. And then it took off from there.
Back in those days, we just didn't have opportunities the way young people do today, given just the access to the web and the world. I think the Continental experience catapulted us into a deeper understanding of the world, of ministry, of the power of the gospel to change lives. We got to see that front row every night. And that sense of Christian community in its truest sense. What we experienced in those early 20s in the sense of what we call community today was utopia defined. We all had our problems on tour, but
Sure.
It was kind of an idealized situation, and it opened our eyes to a new way of living. And to this day, we're very communal people. People ask us, how can we Airbnb our houses and how can we sleep anywhere? And it's just because that was the formative years where we learned on the road to be comfortable anywhere.
And that has defined our lives. We love people. The sense of community and staying connected with the people that you love. Your family, our family, we've been through really, really hard times. We stay connected. We love each other. We pray for each other. We connect. We make it, and it's intentional.
Well, that's
Is
the
it-
that's the fullness of life. I don't think we live abundant lives apart from community.
You guys went on to do some really ambitious things. I mean, you planted a church that became a very large church. You co-founded the Slingshot Group, one of the preeminent coaching and staffing organizations. Talk about that, the overlap. What overlap is there from your Continental experience and skills learned made a difference there, or did it?
Oh, absolutely. I think when I reflect on all the benefits, the gains that came out of the Continental experience, I would say confidence was a big part of that. I mean, I was somewhat of a confident person, but it was that platform that gave me the experience. Cam, who saw something in me, gave me the opportunity to lead and said, okay, go figure it out. And obviously we were trained well, but there was a lot of that we had to just learn on the fly. And with that came, I think, a sense of humble confidence that, okay, there's an idea, as an entrepreneur, let's start something. And I think that confidence came from those years with Continentals as a director, where we began to see that if God's in it, we can do anything, and maybe it was somewhat blindly naive, but I would trade that any day for that cautious, pessimistic way, or settling for the ordinary. And for me, I think Continentals caused me to embrace the extraordinary in life and try to always be reaching for that, and not just let things become status quo or accept things just because that's the way they are. We've always done it. So as an entrepreneur, starting things like a church or a Slingshot or anything else that we've started over the years has come from that petri dish of leadership at, through the Continental experience.
Yeah. The mindset that we had to think outside ourselves. What's going on in the culture? What can we do in our world to make a difference and to draw people to Christ, who's the only answer for all of this going on?
As you kind of look at the overarching, like the 30,000-foot view of your Continental experience, what are some of the nuggets that you take away in terms of principles or concepts, things that you think about and that you apply in what you do now?
That comes easy for me. The first one that comes to my mind is this pursuit of quality. I would use the E word, excellence, but I think that's got triggers to it. But quality, I think, is something that sometimes we adopt as Christians, the mindset that good enough is. And, as long as we have a good heart and, all's well, God will bless it. Continentals gave me a sense that if we put our heart and soul into something and we don't settle for ordinary, that we pursue extraordinary, and we shoot for quality and give our best, that then he blesses that. It is supernaturally extraordinary. And I think I caught that from my Continental experience. That would be
that.
the second one is confronting adversity. Learning that adversity is an opportunity to see God at his best. And it was those adverse times on tour, whether it's, just logistical snafus. I mean, the tour we were on in 80, Jim, remember trying to get into the Eastern Bloc and, the Russian train. And we just had adversity after adversity.
Okay, wait a minute. I just got to stop and say, I mean, one of the things that happened is I cut my head open as we were supposed to be going to the train depot. That is a story
that was in Vienna. It was a messy story.
Unbelievable. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And they literally running me and throwing me on the train as I was like, well,
Jim,
crazy.
You were the hero of the story, though.
Yeah, you were. Yeah, you were.
From Momma on the train.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. But the stories. But it was the adversity that taught us, I think, that rather than run away from adversity or avoid it, run into the pain and trust that God is going to meet us there and create something supernaturally awesome to his glory and the good of all of us involved. that'd be another big takeaway for me that's served us well in life.
It's overwhelming to think about the beautiful, beautiful way how we learned to deal with adversity. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful because I draw on those lessons as they've built that foundation of the
I
journey.
think we forget that the touring experience is so much more than the musical experience. We
Right.
just focus so much on that, but it was a spiritual formation for a lot of us back in the day. We call it discipleship.
Right.
But I mean, they leaned hard into that in training us
Mhm.
when we were, young, vulnerable,
Mhm.
mostly Christian kids,
Mhm.
but we didn't really have a formation that set us up for the long haul in life.
Well,
And
learning to walk daily, having a daily time with Jesus,
Right.
doing the word. I mean, doing the Bible studies in the word. It was a discipline. It was something that I never learned.
if we've got time for one more, I have to think about Continentals as, talking about discipline or spiritual formation. It was in some ways a boot camp for life. I think that taught me a work ethic that
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
we don't just pick up in ordinary life.
Right.
But I have this work ethic that I don't think just it was in my genes or was in my bio environment. I think Continentals taught me a work ethic that was supercharged. I mean, if I have a superhero, secret weapon, it would be my work ethic. And I do believe a lot of that came from the Continental experience.
Wow.
You didn't have a choice. You had to make the bus at a certain time, and
Oh,
you
yeah.
had a regiment on the bus. And then when
Yeah.
you got
It was
to
a
the churches,
breakneck schedule.
breakneck.
And I remember through most of my ministry years, I lived this really intensive, fast-paced, super full life. And people would come up and say, Monty, I know you're busy, and I thought, I'm not busy, this is the rhythm of my life. Now that I'm semi-retired, I look back and go, oh my gosh, no wonder people said, I know you're busy, but for me, that was so normal because I think it was all the rhythm of life was set those many years on the road and that day-to-day rhythm of what was demanded of us as leaders within the organization.
Have you ever wished you could gift your life-changing Continental experience to someone else? Well, you can. Your monthly giving can make a huge impact for our teams all over the world. We'll have more than 20 Continental groups on the road, communicating in 7 different languages. The Continental story goes on, so keep writing your part of it by being on our support team. And our groups will say, thank you, in 7 different languages.